Welcome into Eye on Northeast Kansas, the podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Bruner. This is where we recap some of the top guests you saw on Eye on Northeast Kansas, the TV show. It comes to you live 4 o'clock Central Time, Monday through Friday, from our WIBW TV studios in Topeka, Kansas. You can catch it streaming live on WIBW.com. We had some great guests come through, including some local leaders, among them Shawnee County District Attorney Mike Kagay. It's been a busy few months for his office, and one of the key efforts that he has been working on is human trafficking. A big grant came into their office to do some work on it. Among the items that they have initiated is a task force, and we learned that it is now up and running. Welcome to you. It's been a while since you've been here.
It has. It's great to be back.
Well, you've been busy doing a lot of things. One of those, we've talked before about human trafficking and how it is an issue in Shawnee County, one that maybe people don't necessarily see. What new initiative do you have to target it?
So we have created a federally funded task force dedicated to fighting human trafficking here in Shawnee County and in Northeast Kansas. It's the first of its kind in the state. There's nothing else like it. And I am very excited because we are officially underway.
You had your first meeting?
We had our first meeting just this month.
Who's all involved in it, and how is it different than initiatives that have been launched before?
It's different because its singular focus is human trafficking, fighting human trafficking. And that means finding the victims, giving them support, and finding the offenders and holding them accountable. And we have buy-in from local law enforcement. So the sheriff's office actually has a detective embedded in the task force full-time. And TPD is a great partner for us as well. KHP is involved, KBI is involved, and then we have a wide host of victim service providers, and that starts with the YWCA of Northeast Kansas, which is actually our partner in this grant that we applied for and received to fund the task force.
Has that been kind of the broken link? I mean, you have victim services people, but obviously not dedicated to human trafficking per se. We're working with all victims. So what does this do in terms of maybe stepping up for victims and connecting them with services that wasn't being done before?
That's exactly right. It's a collaborative model. So I think when you look at most task force setups within law enforcement, it's the agency, and they're working on something, and maybe they're working with other agencies. This is a collaborative model in that it brings in the victim service providers, and we do everything in concert, and everything is centered around the victim, the survivor, making sure they have what they need. That's step one. And then ideally we build the case around that and go from there and holding the offender accountable. Any
eye-opening information so far? Is it better, worse than maybe anyone realized?
I think it's about what we expected to this point. The cases are difficult, they take a long time, and they take dedicated resources, which is why this kind of model doesn't usually exist around the state. But we know the problem is here, we know this is happening here, and we're going to prove it.
Another new effort that we just had a graduation for about an hour ago, the new Veterans Treatment Court. Yes. For those who aren't familiar with it, what is it, and how does it assist your office in maybe perhaps getting justice for certain offenses that were committed, but at the same time assist the perpetrators?
Well, so in this case, we're talking about someone who is a veteran, right? And so they qualify for services at the VA. We're very lucky to have the VA here in town. And when they come into contact with us in the criminal justice system, we have an opportunity to kind of take a look at where they are, what's driving this, behavior, what brought them into contact with the office. And then if we can get them plugged into those services and make sure they're receiving treatment and they're making better decisions and they have better support. And really what this program brings in that's different is a mentoring aspect. So we have like a drug court, right? Mm-hmm. And there are different models around the country for different things you can do. But when it comes to Veterans Court, having that mentor in place, someone who's actually also a veteran and can relate to what they're going through, and really the underlying motivation for us is these are people who have already served us, they've served our country, they've defended our freedoms, and if we're not doing everything we can to stand up for them, what does that say about us? There
could be some extenuating circumstances involved that are unique to people who've had certain types of service, is what you've learned.
That's right.
Okay. Another person who has served, and I want to get your thoughts, this was Topeka Police Chief Brian Wheelis' last day on the job before he retires. How important has he been to your efforts, and how important is that position, whoever is in it, to what the DA's office is able to do for victims and families and those left behind in partnership with the police department?
I'll answer that in reverse order. The position itself is critical. It's critical to the success of that department. And obviously anything that we get from TPD, right, is contingent upon their ability to be effective within the community and to investigate thoroughly those cases, right? I like to say I can't do anything without the police department, and they can't do anything without the help of the community. So it is a partnership, and leadership is critical. And for Chief Brian Wheelis, I think he's been a very effective police chief. And it's been an honor to serve with him and to work with him over the past few years in that role, but for many, many years before that. I think he completed 30 years in all service, yeah.
His deputy chief will take over now while they search for a permanent replacement.
Yes, he will, and I look forward to working with him.
Very good. Mike Kagay, appreciate the update. A lot going on here in Shawnee County. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Melissa.
The Shawnee County District Attorney's Office, by the way, is something that you'll see on the November election ballot in Shawnee County. Mike Kagay is unopposed as he seeks another term. New to the Topeka area is Christina Castellano. She is the new director for the Topeka Zoo. She replaces Brendan Wiley, who left for another position elsewhere, and she follows up a time that's seen a lot of expansion and improvements at the zoo. Christina visited the studio to let us know what she has in mind. Christina Castellano has been on the job 3 weeks and finds her way over to the red couch today. Welcome to you. You didn't get lost as you headed down 6th Street to get here.
Actually, I did.
Well,
I did.
The roundabout, you kept going in circles.
Yes, I did. I missed my first term, but I made it here. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad. So this means you're getting settled in still. Where did you move from? What is your background?
I moved here from Salt Lake City with my family. I have my husband and our small children. But I'm originally from New York and the Northeast. Everyone keeps asking me, am I already used to this weather here, hot and humid? And believe it or not, it's very similar to New York. So I feel very much at home.
Interesting. Yeah. I would say, well, my family's from Wisconsin, and when it hits 80, my mom is tossing out water bottles because it's so hot. But okay, you came bearing gifts. You brought me a little animal because the zoo is all about animals. What was it that attracted you to the Topeka job?
Yeah. My goodness, there were so many things when I first came out here for my interview. The people that I met, everyone just loved the zoo. It was just very exciting to hear what a treasure it was in the community, the support it received, the incredible staff that was doing just really amazing things for wildlife and education and for the community. And I thought, wow, I want to be part of this team. I want to be part of this community. And with my background, I was really excited to help the zoo move forward to achieve its goals.
There's been a period of expansion at the zoo. The giraffe exhibit is new. The Camp Cowabunga is fairly new. What do you see coming next? What is the next step?
Yeah. Well, our mission is to enrich our community through education and conservation. Everything we do moving forward, as we have been doing, there was a great foundation laid at the zoo by staff and our former director. And moving forward, we're going to continue to serve our community in a way that allows us to engage people with that mission and to select experiences and camps and animals to come to our zoo that really teaches about our planet and how we can care for nature, and in essence, how that allows us to care for each other.
When we talk about animals, what do you think is missing? What animals would you like to see brought in? I mean, even if it's pie in the sky, because we kind of are this smaller to mid-size, if you think about it. And so that could, I imagine, be a challenge in bringing some animals.
Yeah. Well, the way I approach it is that I look at our story and I look at our community. For instance, we're getting ready to celebrate World Tiger Day at the end of July, and tigers is just a tremendous story for the zoo. We have bred tigers and contribute to their conservation in the wild. So when we work together as a team and we think, okay, what's next for us? It really is tapping into that story. So I'll be working with our team and our board and our community to get their ideas and their opinions about what do we need here? What can we do to continue to make our community proud of our zoo and to keep looking at the zoo as a treasure for everyone.
So you're not ready to say if that's koalas, pandas, sharks, or anything like that?
No, it's more about the mission and how we can best move that forward. But there are some really great things coming down the road.
Okay.
But we're in the process of developing that. So it's a little too early to talk about it, but we're thrilled, and we think our community is going to be thrilled too.
I believe one thing that already had been mentioned was that area where the giraffe exhibit had been. Something perhaps geared toward children in that area?
Yeah.
When might we see those plans move forward?
We are focusing on joyous play, the excitement of learning, hands-on experiences, and really providing opportunities where really children of all ages can develop empathy for wildlife, which we think is just critical for developing a sense of caring for the natural world. So that will be one space that we will take to the next level. And we think we've started with Giraffe and Friends, that close connection to some of the most beautiful animals on our planet, and that personal experience of feeding those giraffe, that's building that empathy, and we're going to take that theme to the middle of our zoo as well.
Well, we look forward to hearing what's next. Any timeline that you would like to see, or is it really too early to tell you? I mean, again, you've been here 3 weeks.
It's a little too early to share a timeline, but we are super excited, and we are thrilled to move as quickly as we can to deliver everything we think we should to the people who visit and the people who care about our zoo and our community.
Well, go visit if you haven't been there lately. A lot of great things
Please come
to see.
visit.
And Christina, it's nice to meet you, and
Very
welcome
nice
to
to see you.
Topeka. Hope
Thank
you enjoy
you
your
so
time.
much.
As Christina said, she's just getting her feet wet, reviewing plans, and we'll have more specifics on where she hopes to move forward in the near future. We'll be catching up with her to keep in touch and up to date on all of that. One person who hopes to be seeing more of you is Chad Young. He is part of a 5-way race for the Republican nomination in the Kansas 2nd District Congressional seat. That seat is open since the incumbent, Jake LaTurner, opted not to seek re-election, so Chad Young was the first of the candidates to visit our studio. Welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
And this is your first run for office.
It is,
Why did
absolutely.
you decide to take this avenue?
Well, if you look at our government, the way it sets right now, it's moving very tyrannical. It's moving to a place that they're not serving the people, they're serving a huge government. And when that becomes like that, our forefathers that wrote the Constitution made it very clear that when a government becomes tyrannical to these means, it's our job to replace or abolish. And that's why I'm running, to replace tyrants, to replace those that come against our Constitution. And the last 3 bills passed in Congress were all tyrannical. If you look at those bills, they've attacked the first, they've attacked the fourth, and they've attacked the Second Amendment. We've got to be very careful, and we need to hold them accountable.
Where do you put yourself then on that conservative moderate line? Because some other candidates in the race are trying to make the point that they are the most conservative. They openly align themselves with former President Trump, who is seeking he'll be with current President Biden tonight debating to try to return to the White House. Where do you put yourself on that?
I think it's a huge mistake to align yourself with any politician. Now, I'm for Trump, but we need to align ourselves with the Constitution that backs what Trump's going to do. And he's going to stand that ground with the Constitution, but never align yourself with a politician. Always align yourself with the Constitution that saves us from any tyrannical movement, and that's not what they're doing in Washington.
One big challenge for you would probably be getting people to know who you are. First run for political office. What is your background? Where are you from? What's been your professional life?
Well, my name is Chad Young, first of all, and I stand on that last name. My dad was a 2-tour Vietnam vet, and he raised me to understand the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that's in my heart and soul. I watched him die with Agent Orange. What a man, an amazing hero. I back our veterans 100%. And I took his lead when he taught me things like teamwork, and he taught me things that he showed me to be a professional in anything I did, from a boxing coach to a professional artist to a musician. I was professional at all those things. And so with life skills programs that I wrote, a nonprofit for troubled youth, troubled young women and men and veterans, I got to take them out of their trouble and got to use those resources a veteran showed me.
What would be the federal government's role? Because you're running for a seat in Congress. What's the federal government's role in addressing youth crime?
For once, truly for once in the last 30 years, serve the people and teach our young people, Teach them how to be young people. Teach them how to grow into be an adult. Watch our big pharma and our big governments, for instance, if you look at Big Pharma, they're just shoving drugs at them down their throat left and right, and we're putting more drugs on the street like fentanyl. That's not always coming from China. And I'm going to say that. That's not always coming from China. That's coming from other places like our own government.
When we talk about taxes, what is your stance there? It's a little unique.
Yeah, it is unique. You know, when we wrote the Constitution, it was a beautiful Constitution. And if you looked at the original 1776 Constitution, what do you see? They didn't want a bunch of taxes. They didn't want that. I don't think we need that any longer. I think that we need to stand on dropping taxes as far down as possible. Yes, it's impossible to get rid of taxes altogether. I wish we could. I'm sure you wish we could.
I saw that written about you, that you wanted to get rid of all taxes.
Well, and I didn't say it like that.
Okay.
What I said is we need to downsize government along with downsizing taxes. Look, we went to war against the Redcoats back in 1776 and before over a 3% tax. We pay over 50% taxes. That's insanity. We need to find tax relief, and we need to find it now. Like, for instance, when trade comes over, let the people that want to sell the goods from other countries pay a little bit of a tax on that. And people say, how can you do that? Ask Donald Trump. He has the idea. And so did I 2 years ago.
When it comes to the border, would you be supportive of allowing anybody to
close it completely? 100%.
No path to anybody coming in?
7 million people have crossed over. The middle class is paying more and more taxes on everybody coming over. How fair is these taxes that we have to pay on middle class? How fair is that to them? You shut it. Now, I will say this. There are people coming to college that want to come to college. That's a different story. But you shut that border. I think 7 million plus is enough.
Well, it's very interesting. 5 Republicans are vying this first seat. All of you will be here together on July 16th.
Absolutely.
We're looking forward to that conversation. Chad Young, appreciate you being here.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. We have a history of helping you get to know the candidates on Eye on Northeast Kansas on the Red Couch. So while you heard from Chad Young, this time you'll be hearing from all of the candidates in the race in the weeks ahead, and we'll bring them to you here on the podcast as well. The City of Topeka wants to know what's in your water. They are conducting a survey as part of an effort by the Environmental Protection Agency to know just what is in the pipes that get the water into your home. So while the city knows what is in the pipes that they have going through their utility plant and out through the city to get it to your home, what they want people to help them out with is letting people know, or letting them know, what is the material that takes the water from the meter into the inside of your house. So they are conducting a survey to get that information. Sylvia Davis, the city's utilities director, told us why this is so important and how it's working. So we appreciate you being here to explain, because it's a little confusing.
It is.
First of all, what is the purpose behind the project?
Okay, so in order to help comply with federal regulations and to help us get a good plan of action, we first need to know what we have in our water supply system. So we know where the city mains are, the city's publicly owned mains, and where they're located and what those are made out of. However, now we're trying to complete our inventory on the service lines that connect homes and businesses to the public water mains.
I was asking you, does this mean I have to go in my yard and try and dig up a water line and find it? No?
No, not at all.
So what part are we talking about that you want people to locate?
Okay, we are looking for information on the service line that's coming into your home. So where it comes from the meter through most likely your basement, sometimes a crawl space, and into your home on the interior side of that. So
and what do you want to know about that portion of the connections?
Specifically, we want to know what material that is made out of.
Do I need to be an expert to know?
Not at all, not at all. We've tried to make it as easy as possible. We have an online video in the survey itself that we've mailed out to different residents. It will have pictures of different pipe material to locate and refer back to. And then we have explanations, and there's lots of information in there to help.
And most people got an instruction sheet kind of looks like this in their utility bill. Is that where it came?
Nope, it was mailed directly to those that we have no information on. So out of our 57,000 meters, customers that we have accounts for, we know 90% of what the material that they have in coming into their home. So the remaining 10%, the unknown users that we have, those are the folks that specifically got that survey. So about 6,700 customers.
Even if you didn't get the letter or you don't remember if you got the letter, does it matter if you participate in the survey anyway because you're just not sure if you got the letter? If you didn't get the letter, maybe you thought it was junk mail. Should you still scan the code if you're in doubt?
Absolutely. Go ahead and scan the code. The more information, the better. So it doesn't ever hurt for us to double check and make sure that what we have on file matches what you have on file. And if you stuck the letter or the survey in your bill pile or accidentally threw it away, you can always go on the city's website, and we have the QR code there that will link you to it.
And we have it to put up on the screen right now if you wanted to put it up, so it's up for a little bit extra time in case you need to get your phone out and get the QR code. So it's very easy. You say it's going to take about 15 minutes. You find that line, you use a magnet, you do a scratch test, and then you try to upload a photo for them to do. The bottom line is finding out if there are lead in the pipes. What is the danger there, and then what would happen if it's determined that your house has a lead pipe in it?
Sure. So the water that comes from the city's water treatment plant is lead-free as it leaves the plant. And as it travels through our distribution system to various homes and businesses, if those homes were constructed, let's say prior to the 1980s, really the 1960s, the chances of you having lead lines in your home is much greater. So the water could pick up lead as it's traveling through those service lines. That's why we want to know what people have. That way we can help as our federal regulations continue to roll out, and as those are finalized, we can help people prepare. If it's their responsibility to replace their lines, we can help get them information and help them walk through that process. It might help us get funding to assist folks, and then if we have city-owned service lines that might contain lead, again, we have a much more steadfast inventory that tells us what we have and where, so that we can make a plan of action.
Very good information. Sylvia, thank you so very much. And I will put the link in addition to the code you saw on WIBW.com. They'll be collecting that information over the next several months. So as you heard us say, if you didn't get a letter, you don't remember if you got a letter, more information is better than no information. So you are welcome to check it out and fill out that survey. Those links are on WIBW.com. A fun project that Topeka United has is a program called the Mosaic Partner Pairs. It's fun, but it also has a serious purpose behind it. It's helping us learn what we might have more in common than we might think, and to get a greater understanding and appreciation for our differences. Two people who were matched through the program, Luke Thompson and Pat Reardon, visited the show to share their experience. And here they are to tell us about the experience. So Topeka United is all about celebrating diversity and all about our community, and that's where the partner pairs come in. So what was it, Luke, about the program that attracted your interest?
What attracted me was the description of Topeka Mosaic being a conversation about diversity. And you know, that's something that you don't just talk about at the bar or talk about at work. You really kind of avoid that. And I like to talk, and I'm a realtor, and Pat's an attorney, so I think it's right up his alley too.
Yeah, you have to talk. What was it that attracted you, Pat?
I like the fact that it was very detailed. It's over several months with one meeting a month. So there's a real commitment to really exploring these issues. So it just wasn't like a weekend conversation. So you apply, then there are 7 or 8 meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Attorneys like their details.
Exactly, exactly.
7 or 8 meetings, and then
once a month, and then you usually get together separately once a month. So we just got in the habit of having lunch a week or so before the next meeting. So it's that sort of commitment that I found to be very interesting.
So you said you're a realtor, you're an attorney. What else is in your background, Luke?
Ooh, oh, that's a good question. I mean, you know, I like sports. You know, something that also made me attuned to this program is I actually went to Sumner Elementary. So I've been aware of Brown versus Board of Education from, you know, being a small child, you know. So I think about diversity a lot, and Topeka United actually came from in 2019 was created after the 65th anniversary of the Brown versus Board of Education decision to end segregation in schools. So
and you lived it.
I lived it, and then I lived it every day, you know. And the thing about these conversations is it allows you to talk about those experiences that you've had. You know, I feel like I have a unique experience being Filipino American or Asian American, and that was part of what brought me to the program, because I feel like I want to share that with other people in Topeka to help that group even.
What did you learn, Pat? Maybe it was the most surprising thing you learned about Luke, and what do you think that you revealed about yourself that kind of had him going, huh?
Well, I keep most of my stuff pretty close to the chest. I don't know what Luke learned about me, but from Luke, the main thing was the term going into the room and being the only one that looks like me. And that was a real eye-opener, and that's probably the most important thing I learned. That was on the very first day, and then after that, we just took it from there.
What do you think? Have you changed your approach to anything? I mean, you kind of think about it, attorneys, you work with a variety of different people, but how has that maybe helped your perspective, or has it changed or shaped anything as you've kind of approached your work? Well,
we've always been very committed as a firm to DEI and have tried to explore that and support it, but sometimes it's just it's the individual personal story that makes a big difference. So hearing Luke talk about these issues on a routine basis was the most interesting thing.
You probably did actually learn something about Pat, though, right? What have you learned?
Well, honestly, that perspective of never having felt like the other, that the other was a term that came from our curriculum that we studied before before our meetings. And Pat had read a book where he talked about you know, being the only white man in Africa, and how that person felt like the other, I believe, you know. And so I related to that term because, you know, in Kansas, there's, you know, 1 in 300 people are Asian, you know, so everywhere I go, I would always feel like I looked different, and the kids would tell me, you know, in the 80s, they'd call me Daniel-san and Mr. Miyagi, and also, you know, they'd say, Luke, I am your father, you know, because I'm Luke Skywalker too. You know.
Well, you guys are fascinating, and I think I could talk to both of you all day about this program, but so you kind of get a sense of what you can learn about each other. If that sounds cool to you, check out the next Mosaic Partner Pairs. The sessions will run from August 24th to May 7th, but as you heard, not a whole lot of time commitment there, and you can get together as often as you want on your own. TopekaUnited.org is where you go to apply. Luke and Pat, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
You guys are going to have a lot of fun. Again, those next sessions start in August, so if you're interested, if you want to find out more, again, check out Topeka United's website to find out what could be in store for you. Glad you took some time to visit with us. Remember, you can see the videos from all of these segments and from all of their guests who make their way through our studio on WIBW.com. They are also in one nice channel for you on our WIBW 13 News YouTube page. Check it out there. Be sure to click subscribe while you're at it. And then you can see our studio selfies and all these links as well. I put those on my Facebook page, which is WIBW Melissa Bruner. Hope you had a good time listening. Until next time, we'll see you on the Red Couch.